Okay, let's break down the disconnect between what we think the police do versus what actually happens. Let's look at the ideal versus the real, and why so many of us believe the ideal is real. When you've never had much interaction with the police and you call 911, you expect that officers will arrive quickly to help with whatever situation you're facing. What's not to like? After all, these are the same people that help kids get Christmas presents, the same people you had lunch with at your church. But lately, support for the police has become almost an obsession for some people. So where does this worship and fetishization of the police come from? Is it their effectiveness? No, it can't be their effectiveness. The rates aren't good anywhere, but they're especially bad here. Well, that's probably because they just need more funding. Well, no. The Poplar Bluff Police Force receives more money per capita than 95% of the departments in the country. Is it because they protect us? Well, in 2005, the Supreme Court actually ruled that the police don't have to protect people. Colorado had passed a law that police have to arrest anyone who violates a restraining order. The Supreme Court said, nah, we can leave that up to police discretion. In fact, Poplar Bluff police are known to just stand around and watch someone overdose instead of trying to intervene and save them. Is it because the job is so dangerous? Well, according to Bureau of Labor Statistics data, law enforcement is the 25th most dangerous job in America. Logging is number 1 if you're curious. Coming in at number 8 is your pizza delivery driver. Like loggers and 24 other professions, delivery drivers also have a higher fatality rate than cops, and yet you don't see anyone flying a thin crust line flag. There are many reasons for this hero worship of police, but one is often overlooked: the media. That's right, the media. This works in 2 ways: the news media and entertainment. Let's start with the news. Our hometown newspaper, the Daily American Republic. The DAR basically just publishes press releases from the Chamber of Commerce and law enforcement, along with local sports scores. That's not journalism, that's public relations. The next time the DAR does an investigative report will be the first. So the only word that gets out to people who weren't directly involved is the word of the police. There's an old adage in TV news: if it bleeds, it leads. Despite the fact that crime has been trending downward for decades, you'd never know it from watching a local news broadcast. This sensationalism drives viewership. It also stokes fears. Scared viewers are loyal viewers. Scared people want someone to protect them. They need someone to protect them, and that is where Hollywood comes in. Entertainment media may actually be worse, because it sneaks in like a Trojan horse. There are a huge number of shows about the police and other law enforcement agencies. In these shows, the police are shown to be the good guys, and they almost always get the bad guy, even in the comedies. Rarely do you see corruption, police brutality, etc., and when we do, other police come to the rescue. How does this align with the lived experience of many people in the US, especially black, brown, and poor people? If these are the faces you think of when you think of the police, why would you doubt them? These are honest, friendly, brave people. They are also fictional. These shows help to build up positive feelings in the viewer and leave them at least respecting the police, if not outright loving them. In social psychology, there's a concept called cognitive dissonance theory. In short, it helps explain what happens when we encounter something that goes against what we feel or believe. Dissonance, or the disconnect between what we've just experienced and what we've always believed, is very uncomfortable. When people hit dissonance, there's 3 ways they can handle it. 1, try to reduce how important the new information is. For instance, if you saw the footage of police murdering George Floyd, you could downplay it in your mind and write it off as something rare. 2, you can pile other things on that you believe to be true, drowning out the new information. You can think of the positive things you think the police have done, so the bad thing is only one of many things. And 3, you can begin to change your attitude to fit the new information. As much as you don't want to believe it, maybe there are problems with policing that need to be addressed. When you see reports of a rise in white supremacist groups joining the police, you may write it off as some liberal media conspiracy to bash cops, even though we've already witnessed media boosting the police. When you hear that modern policing, especially sheriff's departments, grew out of runaway slave patrols, you may dismiss it as something from a long time ago. When you learn that white supremacists joining law enforcement isn't actually something new, and many police officers have also been Klansmen, you can try to drown them out with all the cops who weren't in the KKK. But that doesn't change the facts. Let's look right here in Butler County. The county itself is less than 6% black, but black people make up 12% of arrests. In Poplar Bluff, about 11% of the residents are black, but black people make up 21% of the arrests. Now clearly, while black people are arrested at disproportionate rates, there are still a lot of white people that get arrested. And that's where class comes in. Being black increases your odds of being arrested. So does being poor. Being black and poor? May God have mercy on you, because the cops sure won't. Also, many of these crimes are crimes of survival. Whether that be shoplifting because you can't afford what you need to live on, or maybe you have to turn to criminal activity because you're unable to find a job, especially one that will pay for rent, food, health insurance, etc. Again, let's keep this local. Dan Mustaine from the Poplar Bluff Police Department loves posting pictures and videos of shoplifters in Walmart or wherever. But how about the billions that Walmart steals from their employees through wage theft? Walk out of Walmart with a cart full of stuff and you may go to jail. Screw over thousands of workers to increase profit margins, and you might get a promotion. I think one thing we can all agree on is that the rich own the politicians. So the politicians write the laws that the rich want, and those are the laws that police enforce. That's why breaking a window can put you in jail, but polluting the air we breathe or the water we drink is just the cost of doing business, and in rare occasions, you might get a slap on the wrist or a small fine. So let's go back and check fact from fiction. You rarely see domestic violence by police on TV, but it is a serious problem. While statistics vary between studies, most show that domestic violence in law enforcement families is at least 3 times higher than the national average, which helps to explain why so many domestic violence reports seem to go nowhere. How many women around here have tried to get help only to be ignored? You call the police to report sexual violence and expect to see Stabler and Benson knocking on your door. Instead, you might get someone like Detective Corey Mitchell, who has been accused by multiple women of sexual assault and abuse of power. Now, your cognitive dissonance may be in overdrive right now, so you're telling yourself it's just a few bad apples. But remember, the whole phrase is, one bad apple can spoil the whole damn bunch. That's why we say the only good cops are the ones who are willing to stand up to the ones who abuse their power. Silence is complicity. So until the day comes that everyone is treated fairly and equally under the law, we will continue helping people share their stories. Alone, we are insignificant. Together, we are unstoppable.